Hello.
Yes, welcome to Force Supply Entertainment. You know me, Michelle.
And I'm Natalie the Red, and we are live.
Yeah, she's always making fun of me, guys. She's always making fun of me. Well, let me go ahead and say hello to everyone in the chat. We've got Luke. I will be on Luke's show tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time discussing the same movie.
Was I not invited?
Well, I'm sure you can come on. I'm sure Luke doesn't mind. I just hadn't told her, Luke. And then let's see. We've got hello, Andrew. Hello, MC Wiz.
It's McWiz.
McWiz. Okay. Josh Anderson. And Josh, I'm so glad that you just got your Funko Pop.
Yeah.
Which actually reminds me, very soon we're going to be having a Falcon and Winter Soldier Funko Pop giveaway. I totally forgot about that when we covered the new episode, but that is coming. It is on its way. So anyways, thank you guys for joining in to today. Well, we will go ahead and bring out, you guys know we're discussing the one thing everyone's talking about, which is Zack Snyder's Justice League, the big 4-hour edition. But before we get into that, we are bringing on a special guest, a friend of ours who is a part of the Red 5 Network that we are a part of, and you can visit thered5network.com for if you want to find any other podcast YouTube channels. But I will go ahead and bring out, his name is Rob, and he is a part of the Jedi Temple Archives podcast. So let's go ahead and bring out Rob. Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
I'm doing good.
Rob the Gray, apparently. So
Rob the Gray. Oh, we got Natalie the Red and Rob the Gray.
I may as well go. Yeah, I'll go with Rob the Gray.
There you go. Guys, I'm still coming up with my nickname. I've got like 3 that I really like, and I'm just pondering which ones I like the best. Well, I can tell you that the ones I like the best. The ones
exclusive.
The ones in the running right now are Michelle the Fair, Michelle the Marvel, or Michelle the Magnificent.
I like the grandeur of the last one.
Well, all of these were given to us in our chat or in our comment sections by some of you all and some others. So thank you guys for guys.
Michelle the Marvel.
Yeah,
I like it.
It is a good one. Maybe I should have multiple different names, and I should be Michelle the Marvel when we cover Marvel.
Just pop on every time with a new name.
That actually could be my thing, guys. we definitely could begin to do that. I mean, there's some good ones here. So. But yeah, Rob, why don't you tell the people in the chat and anyone who's watching later, why don't you tell them Rob has, if you guys like Star Wars, which a lot of you guys do like Star Wars, Rob has one of my favorite, and I don't just say that, I mean it. I've gone through and listened to most of his episodes. He has a fantastic Star Wars podcast that really digs in, especially to like the Jedi and Yoda, and it goes in deep with Star Wars, and I really appreciate his podcast. Love it. So Rob, tell them a little bit about yourself before we get started.
Yeah, I work in IT, kind of got into podcasting a couple years ago. I had a friend of mine, Tom Howell from the Hyperion Adventures podcast, who wanted an outlet to talk Star Wars. I was interested in starting a Star Wars podcast, so we just kind of fell into it that way. I wanted to put out a podcast which would, as you said, kind of goes deep into Star Wars, but it's designed to not be unfriendly to the casual fan. So if you've just seen the films and you haven't watched the animated series or some of the additional content that's out there or gotten into the books or the comic books, we cover some of that content and make it relevant so that when you watch a show like The Mandalorian, you can pick up on some of the backstory of who is Bo-Katan, who is Ahsoka. So we focus on characters, we focus on specific scenarios, and kind of approach it that way. And my wife was the one who generally comes up with a lot of the show topics. So she's kind of my test audience. If it's approachable for her, then it turns out to be a pretty good episode.
Well, that's nice. And if you guys can't see the fact that he's a fan with all his nice lightsabers, I think a couple of those are they the Saber Forge?
Yeah, all the ones on the wall there are Saber Forge. I have one on the shelf behind me that is from Galaxy's Edge. It's the original Skywalker lightsaber that I've been looking out for quite some time. I don't have a Sideshow Collectibles Grogu. I'm not that cool yet, but
We'll get there.
Yeah, my brother and I were looking at some of the Saberforge lightsabers this past weekend to actually looking at them. They're pretty cool.
Yeah,
Hey, I've got a hair in my eye. I'm going to try and go get it out. I'll be right back.
You go get that hair out of your eye.
I'll do that.
But yeah, so definitely check out the Jedi Temple Archive. You know what? I'll put his podcast information in the description after the show. But fantastic. And you're pretty much all places podcasts are.
Yeah, pretty much anywhere out there. I've been on a little bit of a hiatus. Had a leg injury that has kind of kept me sidelined for the last few months, but going to be getting back into it. I also have a Disney podcast called the Hoopty Duo Disney Review Show. If you're into Disney, Universal, any of that type of property, and we do hotel reviews for Orlando and things like that. I do that with my wife. So I have a couple things that we'll be working on here in the near future. So looking forward to getting back at it.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be excited for you to come back because you have been on a bit of a hiatus. Well, everyone in the chat, you are here for us to discuss full-on spoiler discussion tonight of Zack Snyder's Justice League. So join the conversation and let's talk some Justice League. Well, Natalie's trying to get a hair off of her contact. But so I want to say this too, as we kind of get started. Regardless how anyone feels when they watch this movie, it is like a big achievement. And I think it's something that I think most people are pretty recognize that because, and Rob, I know you'd probably agree, it's like today, so often it feels like studios just kind of don't listen to fans in a way. And sometimes I know we want them to come up with things that are new and exciting that we don't know we even needed. But when you have fans like demanding, pleading for something, it only makes sense to give it to them. I mean, it's kind of like testing your product for like the people that you pay to come test your product and kind of get samples of their feelings on it.
This is giving Twitter what they want in a positive way.
Yes. Yeah, so it was just so awesome to see after such a long campaign from devoted fans to finally get Zack Snyder's version of the Justice League and to allow a creator to put out his vision and to not have just a massive amount of studio interference. I mean, sometimes the studio notes are good, but sometimes they go a little overboard. But Rob, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, certainly the fact that it really was about Zack Snyder creating this film initially, family tragedy kind of sidelined those plans, and bringing in Joss Whedon, and we'll kind of get into it. I like Joss Whedon as a director, but anytime you have another director come in and try to work with a product that another director has started on, you're always going to have kind of competing visions and trying to shoehorn. And so it was understandable why the first cut of the film was so rough and a lot of bit discordant. So it was nice to kind of get to see what Zack Snyder had originally envisioned for it.
It was, and it's kind of like this version we got was just kind of throwing the kitchen sink at us. Like, here's all the footage we have.
It was a CGI kitchen sink. It was a CGI kitchen sink, though.
It was. Yeah, because I would say, and I'll let you give your initial thoughts because I think I like it better than you liked it. Mm-hmm. But my thoughts on this too is I really enjoyed it. I've watched it twice. I would say this, if they would have taken this exact movie that we've been given as of Friday, and they would have shaved it down to about 3 hours, a little around the 3 hour mark, and put it out in 2017, I think it would have done really well.
Yeah, I agree.
Rob, I'll let you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think all they would have had to do to get it down to 3 hours is just take out the slow-mo sequences.
There were a little slow-mo sequences.
And if we're being honest, maybe those ladies singing
at
the beginning.
And snitching his sweater? What was that?
I was like, this is just getting weird. And I told Michelle in my head, I'm like, sometimes I make things funny that aren't really happening to entertain myself, and I imagine Batman being like, "Shut up!"
Well, it wasn't Batman, but it was me.
Yeah,
maybe it was a little bit of me.
Yeah, everyone in the chat knows I enjoyed this movie, but like the second time I watched it, I just fast forwarded the singing. I was like, it's awkward. It doesn't make any sense.
It feels like it makes me uncomfortable.
It makes me feel,
Right.
It makes me feel uncomfortable because, as you point out, she's sniffing a sweater. It makes no sense to the audience.
She's like, sometimes when I get really nervous,
Yeah.
I sniff Aquaman's sweater and I feel better.
I mean, they pretty much did go full superstar on that one. So yeah, that scene, it was an interesting scene. But Rob, most of the audience knows my initial thoughts. I really enjoyed it. Again, as I just said, if they would shave that movie down to 3 hours, cut out the excess, it would have been really well received, I think, in 2017. Rob, what were your initial thoughts of this grandiose version that we got?
You know, we're in an age where I'm literally starved for entertainment after being laid up for the last 3 months. There's literally nothing that I have any interest in watching that I haven't watched probably at least once. So I've been very much looking forward to this and, you know, getting to see the original vision and everything. And I was hoping it was going to be more different than what it turned out to be. A lot of the extra content was backstory, which I think that was helpful, kind of given some of the character backstories for characters like Cyborg. And I think he probably had the backstory that was the most helpful to his character, and to kind of flesh out a little bit more of the backstory for people who aren't like hardcore. And I'm not, I was never a big DC comic book reader or comic book reader in general. So, you know, but Marvel always did a great job of making the characters approachable and teaching you the things that you needed to know about them in a way that flowed really well with the story. And even with the additional backstory, it just kind of seemed a little bit more discordant to me. And then there was a lot of content that was the same as the first cut. There were certainly changes to the CGI, to the look and feel of some of the characters, including Steppenwolf, and some of the CGI came off as clunky. And I don't know if that was just budget or what that was, but I still enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed the original, and I enjoyed some of the additional content, but I was expecting it to be significantly different, and there wasn't a lot of additional content. And Darkseid and Jasad and Granny Goodness, I think it is. You kind of see them a little bit, but they don't really play a big part in the film. So it was cool to see, and it definitely hints at things to come, but I don't know if any of those things are ever going to actually get made. So
yes, and for me, what this movie did is it took the scenes I really liked from the 2017 version. We found out those were all Snyder's shots, and I preferred, say, even the intro. We did a roast of the 2017 Justice League this past Wednesday, and I was talking about, which now we know definitively was just shot by Whedon. Mm-hmm. It's like the intro of that with Batman is so bad, and the CGI is so bad. And like this, it makes much more sense just to have Batman finding Aquaman, like just getting to the point of what we'd already set up in Batman v Superman. Because that's what I will say. This is truly, especially the way he did this, he's broken it up. It is truly a sequel to Batman v Superman, fully, 100%. Mm-hmm. Which is
oh, sorry. Finish your thought.
No, you finish go ahead.
Bringing up the Batman going to find Aquaman at the beginning of the film, the first shot of him, I had such a Han Solo getting on the Tauntaun riff with that winter coat with the fur-lined hood. It just was like, oh my God, is that Harrison Ford?
Well, and I actually did appreciate, it was like a small thing, but say the way it starts with re-showing Superman being killed and his cry going out over the galaxy almost.
I thought that was cool.
Because it showed the audience this is why they feel they can attack the Earth now. Where I never really fully, I don't think, picked that up in the 2017 version. Or maybe I did. I don't know. I just felt it did a good job of describing it or showing it.
He was kind of a shield of protection for Earth.
Totally. which actually gets into the nightmare sequences of and goes back to Batman v Superman when not Iron Man, wrong comic book movie, when the Flash says Lois is the key, and we see that like in the nightmare sequence at the end, that basically it was showing that if Lois Lane gets killed, Superman could turn to the dark side and all hope is lost.
Yeah.
Literally the dark side.
Yeah, literally.
See, that's something I didn't get to that I will when I pick up watching it the second time. I mean, that was a cool sequence, the dream sequence. And, hats off to Jared Leto. I thought he did.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Did you love it?
Yeah.
I thought he did a really cool portrayal. He totally redeemed, even though granted, unpopular opinion, I kind of liked Gangster Joker and Suicide Squad. I know, cancel me now, but...
And I would say was that sequence needed at the end of this? No, it was just added on again. They just threw the kitchen sink in this 4-hour spectacle. But did it make me want to see Joker and Batman in a movie? Yeah, it did.
I'm also like, Jared Leto, how are you somehow still kind of attractive right now? Maybe that's a me issue.
The power of Leto. But yeah, like Leto, you guys listen in the chat, that little sequence with Jared Leto, we'd already said that. We'd already said that we wanted to see, after we saw Jared Leto in that Denzel Washington movie that came out in January, it just made us want him as the Joker. And I think in that little glimpse, you saw what he could do if Warner Brothers would give him another shot. So I hope we get that at some point.
Me too.
But yeah, so that's kind of your thoughts. And most of you guys know this in my non-spoiler, I thought it was significantly better than 2017 because a lot of the issue in 2017, even within the footage that Snyder had shot, is he tries to change the color grading and make it bright and happy, and it didn't really work at that point. And then
it had a lot of unnecessary cheesiness.
Yes, added so much unnecessary cheesiness that didn't fit with the tone of this movie. And that's why the tone of this movie is so much better than the 2017, because are there some funny little jokes? Sure, there are. But are there near as many cheesy ones? No, there aren't.
Right.
Like it now the tone fits. So what did you think about the tone, Rob?
It was definitely darker. I mean, that was one of the things I think about the 2017 version with Joss Whedon coming in, and he has a sense of humor that he infuses into all his films. And unfortunately, he was using some footage shot by Zack Snyder where the characters were very serious, and then all of a sudden it would get really jokey, and there was a discord that got created by that. This one was like almost unrelentingly dark. So, which I'm fine with. But yeah, I do think there was a lot of frowning going on in this film. So,
well, the fate of the universe is on the line, Rob. I don't know how much joking I would be doing.
The Avengers faced it with laughter.
Well, the Avengers are the Avengers. Yeah, because as they said, it is true. DC's not Marvel. And
I think that sometimes we're on both sides.
Yes.
Maybe some disappointment comes in because if you're more of a Marvel fan, you're like, man, why is DC so dark and heavy? And if you're a DC fan, you're like, okay, where's the substance in Marvel?
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of because I do that a lot with Marvel because I'm more. People know. I mean, we have a video set. That's why I prefer DC. I'm more DC, so sometimes I lack kind of that grounded grittiness that Marvel never really gives me, and then Marvel fans can lack, as you said, the bright, the happy.
Not a put down.
It's just different. That's the bottom line.
They're just different.
They're different. They're different.
It's apples and oranges.
Yeah, it truly is. But it is much more of an emotionally driven movie. This one is.
Yes.
Well, Rob, were there any scenes that stood out to you that you really liked?
He's like, no.
No. There's, of course, well, I will tell you, the one thing I do love is that the cop that was always, kind of guarding the destroyed statue of Superman that Lois Lane keeps meeting up with in the morning is actually the actor that played Jimmy Olsen in the original Superman film. So that's a really cool cameo, kind of throwback to that original Superman film. But I thought certainly I like this version of Superman. I know you had posted on social media yesterday, Michelle, that this is your Superman, and I am right there with you. I never understood all the knocks on Man of Steel. Certainly it wasn't a perfect film, but I think it was a lot better than people gave it credit for.
Yeah.
If there was any actor in that film that I didn't love, it was Amy Adams, because she seems to have trouble emoting. And that kind of carried over into this film. But, I never really thought I was going to like Ben Affleck as Batman, and he's done a pretty good job in the films that he's been in as well. So I always enjoy the kind of interplay between he and Clark Kent, aka Superman, in the film. And there were some of the dark side content I thought was pretty cool. I don't really know a whole lot about the anti-life formula, but that was kind of cool that they brought that in as backstory, and kind of laid out some of the content for a potential future film. Even that, dream sequence at the end to flesh that out more and really show more of what was going on there. I know that Zack Snyder had said that was really only put in there because it was supposed to be a tease for the next film that will potentially not get made. But who knows what DC is going to do depending on how well this turns out.
Exactly.
And it seems to be going pretty well, didn't you say, Michelle?
Yeah, like it's like servers are thinking like the app broke down in certain countries of so many people trying to get on to watch it. So it seems to be doing pretty well. Isn't it so funny? It's like, see, like I really love Amy Adams as Lois Lane, and I guess she doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
It's like, well, and you see that so much throughout this movie because a lot of people. Okay, I've never watched The Flash, you guys, so I don't have any point of reference.
Yeah, I don't either.
Most people who have watched the Flash TV show really struggle with Ezra Miller, is what I've seemed to notice. Rob, do you have a feeling either way on that one?
I never watched the Flash TV show, but I still struggle with Ezra Miller.
I struggle with that run, man.
he may be playing it just perfect, and maybe I just don't get the character, but he's so uncomfortable and awkward that it makes me uncomfortable.
He is pretty uncomfortable and awkward.
It weirded me out. Oh, sorry. It weirded me out when he grabbed that hot dog out of the air. I'm like, but then when he was giving the dogs meat snacks, completely understood. I thought he was grabbing dinner.
But it's almost like, are they kind of going for a like Peter Parker thing with him? And it's just not really
what it feels like.
It just doesn't really work, I think. Because I will say I did love the Spider-Mans, particularly with Tobey Maguire. I loved those movies in high school. Those were great.
I thought this comment was pretty accurate. It's the difference between do I want Mexican or Chinese for dinner. It truly is. It's like two totally different tastes.
And I wanted to address this too, because we had said that in the roast is one of the things that did work about the 2017.
Yes, that was a funny skit.
That was funny, and I was kind of disappointed they didn't leave that one in this one because that one did work.
Yeah, that was the one thing that landed for me. Well, and I was going to say this, Natalie, feel free, Rob, to speak at whenever. So things about this movie, I thought I preferred Zack Snyder's way of presenting the movie throughout. Yes. I prefer his color tone actually for DC. And then let's see, I thought all the characters in this version were a better version of themselves. I thought Wonder Woman had some of the standout scenes for me personally. Maybe I'm biased because everyone knows I love Wonder Woman. When Superman comes back, I just smile ear to ear when he flies up and takes flight.
We know you do, Michelle.
Yeah, everyone knows I love Henry. I thought Ezra Miller was better in this version.
He was a little less awkward.
He was a little less awkward, actually, and that's, not saying much. He's still really awkward.
No small feat.
But they did give him the cool scene at the end. So he had that.
Yeah.
I thought
He was better. He was definitely better overall.
Yes, Cyborg was more interesting in this version.
He had much more context to his story. We got to know kind of like his origins and stuff.
Yes, and then I thought Aquaman, they toned down the over-the-top macho from 2017. Where in this one, he's very masculine and capable, but he's not like just over the top.
They turned off, Highway to Hell with his cig and his leather jacket and his drink. They toned it down a little bit.
Basically.
There it is.
He still managed to make running flamboyant. That run, I just can't. No one can defend that run.
I don't.
It's bad.
What's so bad about his run? I see people say
it's like shoo. It's like he's ice skating,
but it's like I guess it's supposed to be in slow motion. So I mean, it wouldn't it be a little harder to do a good run? I mean, I'm not a runner, so I don't know. But
watch like Volt, the fastest Olympic runner. Like by the time they're full swing, they're straight up. It's just like shoom, like it's like he's doing all this wasted motion.
So what you're saying is he's running kind of like Phoebe in the park on that episode of
Basically.
Okay. Nice. Well played.
Basically, he's Phoebe running in the park. That is literally what we're saying.
Now I get it.
Yeah, so that was not improved, that run, but he did get that cool sequence. So I'll kind of move into some of the scenes I liked, and if there's anything that stood out to you, negative or positive, any big scene, where you want to say something?
Yeah, just real quick, one thing before we get on too far downstream. When you were talking about Superman dying at the beginning and his scream going out through the universe, and the other thing they showed, I believe it was during that sequence, was Lex Luthor inside the ship, and he saw the mother boxes, and I think it was Darkseid, that had been kind of created by the ship in that kind of bizarre, 3D CAD image. And I never understood in the first film how Lex Luthor knew that the bell had been rung. And so that one little scene gives you the context that he had seen that on the ship. So he had that knowledge. Things like that I always appreciate. It's always weird when all of a sudden they give a character in a film this magical knowledge and you're like, where does that come from?
Yeah. Yes. And too, I would say this as far as, since we have brought up Marvel and things, look at Avengers. When they gave us Avengers, we already had an Iron Man. We already had Iron Man 1 and 2, or do we have all three?
I think Iron Man 1 and 2 before the first Avengers, if I remember.
And of course,
correctly.
2 introduced Black Widow. Then you had Captain America had his own solo movie. You had Hulk, who'd already kind of had his own, even though they had to change out the character. And then you had Thor, who already had his. So you had already given all of them a fleshed out introduction.
Yeah.
Which that's where, this version of this movie helps so much, because at least he's able to kind of flesh out Cyborg and the Flash a little bit more, especially Cyborg, really.
Yeah.
But it would have served any director, writer better had they already had their own individual movies if they wanted to, or introduce Cyborg in a Batman movie or whatever movie they wanted to, the way they did Black Widow, something like that. Because the introduction to Wonder Woman was fantastic for her movie, that that setup of her and Batman v Superman, then you get her movie and then her in this, was fantastic.
Most things she does are fantastic. Once again, I'm biased, but
yeah. Yeah, they are. But that is one of the things that, if I'm saying, if you want to call that a negative, that it is what it is. That wasn't really Zack Snyder's fault. That was Warner Brothers rushing them into compete with Avengers, and you've got to lay the groundwork. But again, this 4-hour version at least fleshes out some of those characters a little bit more. Let's say, I'm going to say things I really liked about this. Let's see, the Wonder Woman versus Steppenwolf when they're under the Gotham Harbor. I don't think the fighting of this scene was better in this one moment I'm about to discuss. I feel like it was definitely better in this version when Steppenwolf calls out Diana, and he says the Amazonian belongs to me. I belong to no man. And then the theme kicks in. And I mean, that's the nerd in me just smiles ear to ear in moments like this. But that scene was fantastic. Let's see. Let me think of some other scenes. Yeah, the Superman when he's walking through a ship and you hear both of his fathers speaking to him, and then he puts on the black suit.
I love that scene on an emotional level.
Yes.
Like it was kind of precious, like both his fathers like encouraging him and talking to him. I thought that was really sweet.
And that is where, when we're talking about differences of like Marvel and DC, I've always connected, and you guys know this, I've said this so many times. I've always connected to DC more as they really go for emotion. And it's like, I really felt that scene.
Yeah.
Like, and I think anyone could relate to basically wanting your parents to be proud of you.
Yeah.
And
mixed
just
with loss.
Yes. And so I love that scene when he takes off and he shoom, up into the universe, and he's just floating there. And his theme, Superman and Wonder Woman's themes just get me every time.
And then they played Back in Black.
They did not play Back in Black. They could have.
They should have.
I love that scene. Let's see. I thought I did think, and I said this in our non-spoiler review, I thought this version, the way that all the heroes discuss bringing Superman back was a lot better. It removed the cheesiness and the fighting and bickering. It just felt smoother to me. Rob, what did you kind of think of that scene?
Yeah, I mean, when Josh Whedon had done it, it was kind of everyone standing in one place, and he kind of had to pan around because they all were spread out. And with this one, with the group of them around the table, and he kept changing camera angles and things like that, it made it a little bit more dynamic, I thought. And also it seemed to be a lot more, they were really kind of weighing what they were about to do.
Yes.
Trying to determine if it was the right thing to do. And that was one point where I did enjoy the Flash, where, Ezra's sitting there saying, what's the worst that could happen? Oh, we could destroy the entire world. Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, just that. Not a big deal at all. Let's see. And then I really loved the final scene. I do want to say this because I feel like Zack Snyder does get a lot of crap, and I know you like Man of Steel pretty good. You even said you don't understand all the hate on it. Like, he gets so much crap for not understanding Superman, is like the quote that people get. But there's even like just subtle moments in this movie, like when Superman appears to Alfred. Like, to me, I know he's in a black suit, but he just radiates like goodness and the way Superman does of, well, I assume you're Alfred. And I don't get that criticism, and I don't get it.
I don't need it. Well, I didn't even know it was a criticism, but no, I don't get that.
Yeah, Rob, why do you think that he gets that criticism all the time?
I think with Zack Snyder, it's because so many of his movies, he's just totally over the top with everything that he does. I mean, it's just a death fest and destruction fest, and everything has to be giant, explosions and big, bold statements of everything. And, in that case, I definitely think that, Henry Cavill does a wonderful job with Superman. He really seems to connect to that character. So I think a lot of that comes from him. I don't know that it's brought out of him by a director per se. But, he was smart enough to understand that having Russell Crowe and Kevin Costner, especially, who always enjoyed Kevin Costner films, and I think he's a really good actor, and he definitely comes off as, just a down-to-earth guy in a lot of the films that he does. And he has some of the most powerful moments with Henry Cavill in the first two films, in the original Superman, the Man of Steel film, and then Batman versus Superman. I will forever love the hero cake story.
Yeah.
The neighbor's farm's flooding, and I'm sitting there eating my hero cake. So that is the kind of stuff, to understand that these characters are going to be able to bring out the emotion that you want in those scenes. I don't think he's tone deaf to bringing out emotion in his actors. I just think that a lot of it kind of gets subverted by by the spectacle that he creates with most of the film.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Because I loved, I mean, again, the scene towards the end when they're all fighting. Oh, and I did want to say this. In the 2017, at times, which it is trickier with Batman in a Justice League movie because he doesn't have superheroes. He's just a genius and
like superpowers.
Superpowers. He's a genius who has a lot of cool gadgets.
As he says, "What's your superpower?" I'm rich.
I felt like this one did a better version. It did a better job of letting him truly be involved and like be a part of the team. Like even him having that thing that could absorb those hits.
Right.
He just like was taking people out on the guns. He just was a lot more useful in this version of it.
Also, I was going to ask Marcos. I saw you said we'd miss a couple of your questions. If you could retype your questions, we'll try and answer.
Oh
them.
yeah. Sorry guys. Sometimes the chat's going and when I'm talking and we miss it. But yeah, if you have a question, definitely type it back. Preaching the choir on loving Henry Cavill. You guys know we love Henry Cavill. Let's see. Batman must be prepared. Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Wolf.
Oh yeah, Amazon's fight scene.
Yeah. Yes, because let's see. Whedon took out their sacrifice of seeing them fall, like the whole thing shut and fall. Yeah, it does definitely give more weight in this one with the Amazon women. Amazonians? Amazon?
I'm going to make a random observation that I twice in both versions asked Michelle.
She got crushed by the horse. I know the answer. Natalie is like, why is the queen just like the woman's alive?
I'm like, just get the horse off of her. It's
No,
like, I don't see any fatal wounds.
No, she's like Padme. She dies of a broken heart.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't see, like, I really watched, like, during the second version, it's like, okay, did she get shot by an arrow? Like, what happened? But all I see is, like, a horse, like, on her lower side. And it's just like, maybe just get the horse off. But then there's, like, this really sad, dramatic death. And it's like, I don't know. I guess
she got crushed by the horse. But we have to settle the number one question of the night. Is it Henry? Or is it Viggo Mortensen?
What's the
Viggo?
Henry versus Viggo. Oh gosh,
that's Henry. Okay, I'm a Henry girl. Yeah. Viggo is very, very charming and attractive and manly, but Henry's my boy.
and then I was trying to think on an emotional level, but it's like they're both pretty dang good emotionally too.
Yeah, but he's got the nerd factor.
Yeah, Henry does.
He's video games. He's a computer dork. I mean, he doesn't just, get paid to be in these films. He's got the looks, but he's got the nerd credentials to back him up.
He does.
I mean, they're both very attractive men. What can I say?
Oh my gosh, Luke, thank you for bringing that up. I love that little moment. It was so little, but I loved it. Of show them your fear, we have no fear. That's just one of those great little lines that they put in there, just showing again the warriors of the Amazon women.
So here's my first rant of the mini rant. We'll keep it mini, but no, I mean, Zack Snyder directed 300, and
yes,
in the Amazon scenes, he was just redirecting 300. I hate to do that to him, but literally everything about the Amazons is a shallow ripoff of what he did in 300, including that, show them your fear, we have no fear. It's like the Spartans, what is your profession? It's that same moment with a different line. So, I mean, it's worked for him and I get why he went back to it. And, but even right down to the ab shots as they're crushing the pillars and,
I did notice they had some impressive abs.
Yeah. Really cool.
I need to get to the gym.
Yeah. I was afraid of all of them, but
Do you know, I haven't even seen 300. I got dragged to that in high school with some guy friends. And I was like maybe 16 or 17. I hated it at that age because I would have to see it now as an adult to know how I feel about it.
Is it just nonstop action?
It's nonstop action.
I've seen pieces, but it's been like a decade.
Pretty much the coloring is almost like the in battle, the whole movie. Like very dark.
Yeah.
But
it seemed pretty intense from what I can remember.
Is, but the Amazons, because they're Greek, they are very similar. He did do them very similar to the Spartans. I would have to say this. Well, and I will get into what I appreciate about Zack Snyder.
He was handsome, by the way. I'm like, show us more of the Zeus actor.
Yeah, the Zeus guy. I will say this. Everyone who's watched our channel for any decent amount of time knows that I love practical effects. So I actually did prefer, I know they did it for cheap, for saving money. So I'm not going to hold them to it too much, but like say in the first Wonder Woman, like they literally shot the mascara scenes in Greece and like, it's beautiful. It's stunning. You can tell they're outside. That really did a lot for me compared to where I could just sit there and tell that it's a green screen. Like those are the little touches I do really like in movies. But I do prefer, I do like, we forever now settled, Rob. I asked the question when we did our Wonder Woman 1984 review, did people prefer more the peaceful Wonder Diana or the warrior Diana? And I know my answer after watching this. I want the warrior Diana. Like she still has a peacefulness about her.
Because there's still so much kindness that radiates from her, even when she's in like, go mode.
Yes. But
like we like her with the sword and the shield.
Yeah.
Basically.
I mean, the sword's cool. And it's like 1984 took away the sword. I mean, my gosh, Steppenwolf throws something at her. Or no, it's Superman. He throws a boulder at her and just shoom with it's like a lightsaber. Just clean through.
Notice it glows red when she does that too. It's trying to be a lightsaber, but I prefer the sword and shield to the Count Chocula jacket she was wearing when they were digging up Superman. Vampire with the giant pointed, but no, she definitely plays the action scenes awesome. The headbutting, back and forth.
Yeah, that was great with Superman. Yeah. And of course,
and it was, she's like, don't make me do this.
And then he just boom gets her.
She goes straight to the ground. Bless her soul.
And that scene was in, which obviously Snyder shot it. That was in the 2017 version. It always makes me laugh when the Flash is coming so fast, like he's going to sneak up on Superman, and Superman just like, sees him, just sees him with his eye, like just showing you how fast Superman is. Like you don't think of him being. I mean, I guess he is faster than what is it the. What are his things? Faster than I've gone brain dead because I'm
faster than a speeding bullet.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just that scene's cool, but that's always in it. But
also, we'd kind of mentioned in our spoiler free yesterday that the end scene and how Wonder Woman had a big part in that, and when they're taking care of business with Steppenwolf, and she just clears off that head.
That's what I was gonna say.
Like a boss.
Okay, for starters, when Superman appears, it's awesome. When he finally appears in the end scene. And then, as we did say in our non-spoiler review, I said,
I mean, it was teamwork, but she's like, let me take it to the hole.
It was like, unlike the Avengers, who didn't aim for the head, Diana's like, nope, I'm going to chop that head off.
I'm not taking any chances.
And I just loved, I don't love brutality all the time. I really don't, guys. But I do like a little at times. and
it's not like in that, it's not like it really shows. I mean, you barely even see the head in the frame. I mean,
well, I like that. Think how it starts. It starts with Aquaman taking his trident and boom through the heart and lifting him up. And then Superman comes and boom punches him, and then Diana jumps and chop of the head. I mean, it was just like, dang.
You're in charge of sound effects from here on out, by the way, Michelle.
She gets very animated.
She does.
This is what I get all the time, just so everybody knows.
This is why we started the podcast, because I would be at her house and I would be full blown in this mode, and she'd be sitting there like,
Like, yeah, we need an outlet for this.
It's when she lived in Atlanta, so she would come stay with me like for a week for her school, and I like wouldn't even have my eyes open yet. I'd be in bed and she'd be talking to me about a movie, and I'm like, Michelle, right now, like, and she's making the sounds.
Who hid the? Let's see. Who hid the anti-life equation on Earth? Do you have an answer to that, Rob, or is that kind of something we're not really sure of?
I'm going to go with Tony Stark. I don't know.
Tony Stark definitely hit it. He crossed universes.
Right. It's just like the multi publisher verse.
Let's see. This straight out of the M52 comments. Yeah. I mean, it was that was an awesome scene. I really loved it. And the nerds and all of us, we all appreciate when they all come together. I mean, let's face it, it's fun, whether it is the Avengers or Justice League or even the Suicide Squad. We enjoy when a group comes together.
I do agree with the comment that Roberto just made in chat. I do think that them providing this backstory about Steppenwolf having, betrayed Darkseid, and he wasn't going to be allowed to return to his quote unquote home until he had, basically made amends. So they make him a character that you can actually feel for, instead of him just having some evil plan to take over the planet. And it's a very much kind of what they did with Thanos in the Avengers films.
Yeah,
that's true. Instead of just like, I just want to be evil for no reason, no apparent reason.
Yeah, definitely. That definitely is good. So let's see. I'm trying to think of the things that I don't like. The only negatives I would really have of this movie is if it was true. Again, we got the extended throw everything at you version, just as kind of a cool, unique thing they've done. But there's certain things I would probably shave off to make this like just a solidly great movie. Like the singing and the spelling of Aquaman's shirt.
A little less singing, a little less smelling.
Yeah.
A little less Amber Turd. All right.
Yeah, we definitely had some Amber Turd action in this movie.
Oh, that's what somebody earlier in the chat had said. They weren't used to her having a British accent. I was thinking in Aquaman, I don't think she does have a British accent.
She didn't, and she didn't have it in the Joss Whedon cut either. So it just came out of nowhere.
She's like, I'm feeling British today.
She has she was doing the reverse, the Maximoff. Losing her accent, she gained it.
This is the movie started with Amber Turd and ended with Amber Turd. That's not a good way to book in your movies.
Right. No.
Steppenwolf will always have a position Olive Garden as a cheese grater.
No, I'd seen a comment. It's so great that Darkseid apparently just forgets the one planet of the hundreds of thousands that they've invaded and taken over that successfully repelled him, and the place, as they said, where he had found the anti-life formula. I mean, they made a point of that in the flashback. So he forgot that he found it. He forgot what planet it was. Nobody put a pin in that. So it's just whatever.
Let's see. Do you know, as much as I love Jared Leto as Joker, like I actually can kind of agree with this sentiment. Like I almost prefer the ending of the Josh Whedon's, of just the clean ending of Batman and Superman or Clark Kent going into his house, the end. Where with the, again, guys, they're just throwing the kitchen sink at us and gave us this extra footage of kind of what he wanted to happen in the future. But I definitely understand that comment, Roberto. I really do.
Yeah.
But Jared Leto is fantastic, and I would like to see him in the role again. Amber, we'll just call her Amber Turd. Amber Turd's acting was terrible.
We're committed at this point.
What was the point of Joker? Yeah, it was just like this nightmare sequence that they just wanted to give us for the heck of giving it to us. Definitely. You guys continue to list on the chat. What did you love or what did you not love? Rob, have you pretty much said what you did not love?
No, but I'm trying to behave myself.
What else did you not like?
I get hung up. There's like tiny little things that I notice that bother me when I watch certain films. And this one, the Arrow of Artemis, when they fired it and it, landed in the Temple of Athena, it's clearly at like a 45-degree angle. But when she goes to pull it out, it's leaning the wrong way and it's almost straight up. And I'm like, what is going on? Did I misunderstand? I rewound it to go back to that scene. I'm like, did I miss see that? And then the other one was when they went to the tunnels to fight Steppenwolf the first time, and then when they came back to the Batcave, they had all changed back into the clothes they were wearing before the fight scene. So I could see the guys doing that. I mean, it's kind of what we do, but Diana has got this extensive wardrobe. She clearly would have changed into something equally stylish, especially after a big fight like that. So, come on. Give the people in the costume department a little extra work.
Diana is, the lady
impeccably dressed.
Whether she's in what the 18 or whenever the first one, or 1918 or whenever the first one is, or whether it's 1984 or 2017, she is a fashionista.
She nails it with the fashion.
When she made the comment, I once knew a man who would have loved to fly this, and I immediately was like, no, you mean you twice knew a man that would have loved to fly.
Exactly.
That's true. That's true.
Come on.
Hey guys, and he would have magically known how to fly it, even though he was a pilot years before. Yeti says, when did the Joker become a beet farmer?
That's a good question.
Let's see. Love the action scenes and the overall story, but the Flash scene was cringe. I think we all feel that way to a degree. Let's see. We had the current Return of the King feel long. It did. There were some moments that actually remind me of Return of the King. Do you know what? I think some of it was even kind of and they really overplayed it, but still. I do love when Diana's mom is like, light the fire, or whatever she says, and the torch or whatever it is, and they're like, that's not been lit for 5,000 years.
Yeah.
Mankind won't know. And she's like, man won't, but she will.
Yeah.
And they send, of course, that flame for Diana to find. And that was
that badly thrown arrow.
And that was a cool scene. That was a cool scene where Diana kind of figures it out, because they definitely, that's a fact. I mean, Patty Jenkins has even said as much, that Indiana Jones has been someone she's kind of looked to with this character of Diana. So kind of her figuring things out. That was kind of a cool little scene. But yeah, the Return of the King, I definitely understood. The CGI on Darkseid at the end was a bit unfinished. That seems about right. It was a little wonky. And yes, Bob, the Joker would be really important for part 2 or 3 if Zack Snyder got to continue. Zack has really achieved a big monument of releasing a 4-hour movie on streaming platform, never been done before. Others will try this on it is. I mean,
yeah.
And again, you guys know I really enjoy this movie, and it is. I mean, we did a video on why you should watch it, and at least give it that level of support, just because this is a fan movement, and it was a time they truly listened to the fans and gave fans what fans have been asking for, and for that, I mean, that's fantastic.
Letterboxing movies has always annoyed me, but this 4:3 aspect ratio, I was like, again, for what people spend on their televisions, I'd like to use the full screen, please.
Yeah,
right.
Oh, yeah,
right.
too. I know, like, the really artistic people like really appreciate it, but I guess it's for IMAX, and it's like for my movie at home, like you said, I'd rather just have the full screen.
I watch things on my iPhone.
Yeah, I try to tell her about blue light and to watch on her TV, and she won't do it.
It's a more intimate experience up close.
Better than Whedon's version.
Stand at arm's length from your TV. Hold the edges of the screen.
I used to do that as a kid. I would sit on the floor, like right in front. That was probably because my vision was bad and I didn't know it yet.
Nice.
I could see it.
Yeah, I'm glad because I know Snyder really wanted to release the black and white. That'd be fine as an extra for the fans, but I wanted the color. I'm a color girl as far as
all the way back. I want a cave painting release.
Yeah. I stretch mine on the TV. Yeah, I felt like that man took a back seat in this story. Well, he does in the other one too, and I feel like they at least gave him a little bit more to do in this one.
I did.
Oh my gosh. I did. You guys know this. Roberto, if you've watched our non-spoiler, I loved the discussion between Martha and Lois in Lois's kitchen, even though we know it's not actually Martha.
Martha.
But
I was a little confused about that. I was like, what?
So now we know that guy's like, what's his name? Rob Martian?
Oh, the Martian Manhunter. Yeah. And I didn't know really much about him before this. The first time I know in the second trailer they had shown Martha coming out of the apartment and then her eyes glowing red. I'm like, wait, she's got heat vision? What's going on?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like, she's got superpowers we didn't know about, and then it changes. But
I thought we were getting into transgender Superman. I didn't know what was going on. But I'm sorry. I should have been paying attention. Natalie's got a drink. But,
Rob was like, what do we do? This is since Wizard of Oz, we've all preferred
right.
Definitely.
We've come a long way.
Yeah, Marta. And it is kind of cool, I guess. I didn't know anything about the character to know that guy's been in hiding all this time in plain sight. But I did love that. We'll just say it's, regardless, the scene between Martha and Lois Lane, I thought was very good.
If it was her or not, it was still special.
It was a very good scene, again, for anyone who's lost someone and the survivors that you struggle with kind of
that encouragement to kind of pick up the pieces of your life and not just give up.
I did really enjoy that.
I was surprised that they had her like pining for the loss of Superman, because that is, with all of the talk of strong female characters, she was not portraying what current society would title a strong female character. You know, she's basically can't even go to work because her boyfriend died.
I mean, if your boyfriend looks normal, like Superman, would you not be able to not go to work?
The reality of it is what they were portraying is what really happens, but it kind of goes against some of the strong female woman, talking points, I guess, that Hollywood tends to follow these days. And we all know there were no strong female characters prior to 2010. I know Ripley and
Leia.
We never had any.
Sarah Connor.
Right, exactly. So it's
they didn't exist.
Right.
Yeah, well, and that's why I think Lois. You're right, Rob. Like Lois is. And again, I actually do love Amy Adams as the character, but Lois is such a fantastic character.
Michelle's got a thing for redheaded women.
Oh gosh.
I wonder where that comes from.
It started early in life, I guess. I don't know.
I was stuck with a ginger. But
you wants to sit on her bed and tell her nerd stuff.
Right, exactly.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm your girl. I always have been.
Well, no, I was just gonna say Rob made such a good point. You totally right. I've been thinking of that because I rewatched recently, and I think you did too, Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. And Lois Lane, I feel like she kind of gets just because I guess she's in with superheroes, she's really a fantastic female character that I think, really does represent a strong female. Like, is she the superhero? No. But even as the Martian Manhunter says, he says, we need you. This world needs you too, Lois. Like Lois, she is a strong female. And it's realistic, as you were saying, it's realistic for strong women to mourn the loss of their beloved spouse or boyfriend or fiance.
Like, it'd be kind of unnatural if you didn't. You know?
To not have feeling, but kind of the generic.
Batman's got Robin's armor hanging in the Batcave with the scrawl from the Joker on it. So everyone's going to mourn people that are close to them dying. I don't have a problem with that, but it's ridiculous that there's this idea that if you behave like a normal human being, you're somehow weak. It's got nothing to do with that.
Exactly.
Right, exactly. True.
Yeah, because you're saying too, which is totally right, kind of this modern take on female characters where they're almost devoid of emotion. Like it's actually not relatable for women. And that's where I would say actually that since like 2010, I would say DC's done a really probably the best job with female characters in Diana and Lois Lane of giving us two female characters that
they're strong, but they don't lose their femininity along the way, and their tenderness, and
they're relatable to women.
Yeah,
is what we're trying to say.
And Marcos, I noticed that. Like, I'd kind of look down for a minute, and I look up, look down back at my phone, and I see she's like taking a pregnancy test, and I'm like, okay, is Lois having Superman's baby? What's going on here?
Well, and I know that was supposed to set up like the future installments, which that's in the comics where they have kids, and Zack Snyder did want to do that. In the continuation story, because remember, he had put together a 5-arc film when he started Man of Steel, and ultimately they would get married and have kids.
Yeah.
So he had, and Warner Brothers, I just read this, they forced him to remove that back, I think, even before Whedon took over. Like, they were like, no, don't put that in. I guess they just didn't want to be boxed in necessarily, because you could always throw that into a Man of Steel if you wanted to down, in the future. But yes. And I guess it is worth pointing out.
I wondered about that myself. Like, there might be complications.
No, she's a strong female character. She's not some baby factory. She's having babies. Oh no!
Hey, babies are awesome.
That's probably what Warner's was saying. But in the comics, they have kids.
Pat's doing that with the one-liners in the chat, by the way.
Who's doing it?
Pat.
Oh, it's Pat.
That's the second great joke I've seen.
Is this the Pat?
Pat?
How have I not known that is Pat?
Pat, you dirty dog. Look at you sneaking in here. Good to have you.
Yes. Yeah. Good old Pat. But she is. So, and it'll be interesting, guys, to see what they do with this moving forward, because none of this is canon. Warner's has told us as of yet. So unless they decide to continue the Snyderverse in some version, everything we got in this movie is not canon. So Lois would not be pregnant or any of that.
Right.
I mean, unless they greenlit for Snyder to do something else. So
the thing we will say, Michelle and I had kind of joked about on our revisiting Batman v Superman with Lois, I'll give you, is that it's like, does he have like a tracker on her that like her heartbeat goes up and he's like, dang, I got to save Lois again today. It's like she's always getting into trouble.
No, here's one of the other things that drove me nuts. So Superman is reborn. The members of the burgeoning Justice League show up there at the foot of the steps going up to the monument, and Cyborg's armor reacts to being scanned and weaponizes, right? That's the only time you see that happen in the film. The other 2 times that Steppenwolf is coming up behind him, ready to clock him, nothing. Just stands there. The first time he gets axed to the side, again, go for the head, right?
That is a good point. It only goes off at one inconvenient time. It does. Well, anything else either one of you want to say about this movie?
No.
I just want to put Rob on the spot, because you guys know that we rate things in hoots, which is as a result of Pat and Charles. Our discussion with them one night is how we came up with the hoot system. But I'm going to put Rob on the spot. How many hoots out of 5 do you give this movie?
3.5.
3.5. Okay.
I don't know how you do a half a hoot.
No, we're allowed to do half.
We do.
Yeah.
I've even been known to do a 3/4 of a hoot.
I take it back. She's not allowed to do 3/4. So
wasn't my favorite. I prefer just Superman and Batman, and I can handle some Wonder Woman too. I think she does a good film too. Although I didn't care for 84, but
did you like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman better, or?
I would say Man of Steel was probably my favorite. Batman v Superman was kind of on par with this, maybe just a hair better. But I just thought there was a lot of all the slow-mo scenes definitely slowed the film down. Some of the corny lines, especially the Flash turning back time at the end and talking to himself. I didn't like the music changes either, for the most part. And I don't ever
I can understand that.
It didn't bother me the second time around.
Yeah.
We got Restore the Snyderverse. Well, you guys know our rating. We already gave our rating. We were pretty generous to this movie. I enjoyed the movie.
I gave it 4.5 hoots.
Yeah.
I'm behind.
Yeah, we gave it a good 4.5 hoots. Because I did. And again, to make this movie like just absolutely fantastic, I would shave it down to 3 hours, taking this exact footage, which removes the women singing, and a few other things. But had a lot of fun with it, and I definitely think it's a vast improvement from 2017. It clearly shows had we didn't even just took the footage he was given and just like cut it some, I think it would have been better than what we got in 2017. And they never should have forced it to be 2 hours. That was just unfair to whoever was taking it over, because there was too much to do in 2 hours.
Too many moving parts and characters to introduce. Yeah,
definitely.
The thing that popped into my head last night was I've seen less painful cuts at a bar mitzvah.
Oh, Rob. Yeah, so but guys, I actually was happy to have a dissenting voice on this, because sometimes it's fun to have different points of views on movies, because it's like that's the thing about a movie. One person feels one way, another person feels the other. Even about Amy Adams as Lois Lane.
Right, and that's
what it is.
Like, there's no wrong answer to these
There's
things.
not. It's
I would have given it 3 stars, but I did learn how to make tea properly from Jeremy Irons, so that was the extra half star.
Hey, that is right. And Diana, you can tell, is like, go away, dude.
I'm 1,000 years old. I know how to make tea.
He was not confident with her tea making abilities. I noticed that. She's like, kind of like, give me some space.
I could kind of see that though out of a person who has done stuff their whole life like that. They're like, they're not doing it right. Yeah, so I definitely enjoyed the movie. Had some moments that just kind of make me smile from ear to ear. Pretty much the scenes that I just absolutely adore all involve Wonder Woman and Superman. So clearly, in my heart of hearts, I'm really wanting some more Wonder Woman and some Superman. Yeah. And maybe in the same movie. I don't know.
Hey, you never know.
I'd be down with that. So
Lois might be a little jealous, but
that is... Well, she knows Diana's not into him. I mean, Diana's 5,000 years old. She can't get over Steve. It is what it is.
Time to move on, Diana.
Let me say it for you. So any closing thoughts as we kind of end the stream? You guys know I love it, so that's my closing thoughts.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it, and again, I think it's such an awesome thing for the fans to get this, and for Snyder to be able to finish what he started. So I think it's great.
I echo that sentiment.
Okay, and Rob just happy.
No, I really think it's going to be interesting to see, because we are living in a really weird time. It has been, this COVID world we're living in for the last 15 months, feels like, and so. How much of our feeling about films has to do with the fact that there's so little new film coming out in the first place, and so little new content just in the entertainment world in general coming out. If we were living in an age where we were getting tons of new films released to the theater, how would this stack up? And, it's going to be interesting kind of down the road to see if, a year or two down the road, when things are a little bit more normal and there's more content coming out, if you look back and go, all right, I was clearly starved for entertainment, or no, I actually did like it that much.
That's a very good point.
With all movies, it really takes about a year after the movie's been out for me to fully be able to tell you how I feel about it. Because in the beginning,
Michelle takes this very serious.
In the beginning, you're kind of hyped. Like I usually know, and that's the thing. Both Snyder's DC movies grew on me as the years went by even more. Then I grew to appreciate them more. So it'll be interesting to see if I do this with Justice League. If I grow to like it even more. I want to say this as we're kind of ending. That would be awesome. I don't know, Robert, have you ever watched any of the animated stuff that DC has?
No, not since the Justice League cartoons when I was growing up.
Got you.
Gleek the Monkey and the Wonder Twins.
they do like these Elseworld stories, and they did Gotham by Gaslight, and it's Batman, of course, being a great detective and being Batman, but set like in the era of kind of like Jack the Ripper, and he's like trying to find the killer. And that would be so cool if they took some of these stories, say on HBO Max, and made like little mini movies live action. Like that would be that's a great idea. Like that would be really, really cool. But yeah, well,
I was just gonna say, as an adult, I just prefer live action. Like you're always gonna have my attention more if it's real people.
Yeah, Natalie's a live action.
Don't be an adult. First mistake.
Yeah, well, guys, that's kind of it. Rob, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I know we've tried a few different times, and this time I managed to not injure myself on the way down.
We hope you recover, and let everyone know where they can find you, both podcasts and Twitter.
Yeah, out on Twitter, it's at JTA Podcast. You can hit us up via email at jtapodcast@gmail.com. And you can find the podcast on really any of the major podcast platforms, or you can just go out to jtapodcast.com.
Yeah. So definitely check Rob out. Again, he has a fantastic Star Wars podcast. So I'm sure you're going to start cranking some more podcasts out soon. Yep. So definitely check him out there if you like kind of in-depth discussions on Star Wars. Well, thank you everyone in the chat for joining us on spending your Saturday night with us discussing Justice League. We had fun with the movie and fun to chatting it up with you guys. So thank you for coming out. But that is it for this show of Force of Light Entertainment. And as always, guys, remember to be a force of light. All right.